So good afternoon. This morning we spoke about how if a phenomenon were inherently existent, what would that mean in regard to how the phenomenon existed? So if something is inherently existent, it is not dependent on anything at all, it's independent. So something like causes and conditions or other phenomena could have no impact on it at all. It would be independent of other phenomena. And the second characteristic of an inherently existent phenomenon is that it is unchanging. Then we also saw that if something is a dependent arising, then if it's an impermanent phenomenon, then it will come about in dependence on causes and conditions and parts and imputation. If it's a permanent phenomenon, then it's still a dependent arising, dependent on imputation, or dependent one thing on another. So therefore, we saw that if a phenomenon, whether impermanent or permanent, all phenomena are dependent arisings. None can be inherently existent. And moreover, on a single basis, so a single object, cannot be both inherently existent as well as a dependent arising. Or to express it differently, on a single basis, you can't both have independence and dependence, because these are contradictory. So therefore it is impossible for a single object to be both inherently existent and a dependent arising. And moreover, this morning we looked at how, since beginningless time, phenomena have been empty of inherent existence. It's not that phenomena or a particular phenomenon was once inherently existent and now isn't. And likewise, in the future, it's not that a phenomenon that isn't that lacks inherent existence now will later become inherently existent. Phenomena have always and will always be empty of inherent existence. That being said, though, how do phenomena appear to us? They appear as if they are inherently existent. So despite never ever having been inherently existent, this is how they appear to us. And why do they appear to us as being inherently existent? This is because of our strong habituation since beginningless time to grasping at this appearance of inherent existence. So from these imprints of grasping at true existence, phenomena appear to our minds as if they are inherently existent.
그런 제국기에 자와 차상 자와 지투고래서 그래서 내내자 아주 대규모로 시치기 때라 쪽쪽이 라신이 말고 라신주 동바래서 이나 저서 그런 한타니도 여바래서 제 시치라 되는 바다 군주들이 남자나 되는 남자니까 샤투고래서
Denima Chökoso, yine di Tsongkhapa tarup de yakasuna.
Tenyu bigilana karsumurosuna 최근에 지인의 라신 주변 동바라 동바 인다야 라신 주변 동바래 라신 주변에 매바래 봐도 지나 매바 말해서 그 요리를 해줘. 그래서 내내 같은 뭐보로 지나 뭐보 가는 시네 그런 라신 주변 말해 라신 주변 동바래 이네 뭐보도 매바 말해 뭐보도 요리 그런 게 느끼야다. 그런 게 되고 집에 자와 지고를 그런 유월을 거래. 세상 군주들 남자. 신의 시치기 때라 군주들 다 되는 남자 니가 티고를 해야 된다. 다 라신 주바에나 시치기를 된대나 라신 주바니 시치기를 해야 말이야. 시치 라신 주바에나 된대 많이 보래. 된대이나 라신 주바에 많이 보래서 난 라신 마주바에나 시치기를 된도 된대라 라신 주바 니가 용고래서 그래서 그 라신 마주바에 된대야 니가 쪽서디 라신의 마도바를 떼내야 돼서 지상 쪽지디 라신이 주변 동배 뭐 라신이 주변 동바 하는 그런 탄이도 여봐 자와 제투바 한도 제투바 된지 용거를 해지 네가 샤투고 해지
타니도 여봐 조치디 타니도 여봐래
타니도 지나 여봐서 여봐
According to the view of the Prasangika, the highest of the Buddhist philosophical views, all phenomena lack inherent existence. There is not a single phenomenon that can be found that is inherently existent. When one investigates the entity of any phenomenon, it is found to be empty of inherent existence. But that doesn't mean the phenomenon doesn't exist at all. The phenomenon still exists, but an inherently existent phenomenon, this doesn't exist. When one investigates, one comes to see there's no inherently existent phenomenon. So therefore, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, but that doesn't mean they don't exist at all. So then, how do they exist? Because we've just heard how they don't exist inherently. So how do they exist? We take as an illustration a compounded phenomenon or a functioning thing, an impermanent phenomenon. So this appears like all phenomena to be inherently existent. When one investigates its entity, one sees that it is empty of inherent existence. But it still exists, it can still function. It changes, it's not unchanging. It is dependent on other, such as causes and conditions, and parts. So therefore, it exists, but not inherently. If it were inherent, it would be unchanging and independent. It doesn't exist like that. Rather, it does exist, but it is dependent on causes and conditions and parts, and moreover, it is changing. So therefore, what doesn't exist, according to Prasangika, is an inherently existent phenomenon. What does exist is a phenomenon that is a dependent arising. So this means that on a single basis, Prasangika can assert both dependency and emptiness. For example, this table is a dependent arising. It's an impermanent phenomenon, so it's dependent on causes, dependent on parts. But when one investigates this table, which is a dependent arising, and investigates its entity, one sees it's empty of inherent existence. So therefore, this table is both empty of inherent existence and a dependent arising. So on a single basis, both emptiness and dependent arising can exist in harmony. This is contrary to what we heard this morning of the other views, where on a single basis, one cannot assert dependency and independent. For the Prasangika, on a single basis, both emptiness and dependence arising can be asserted. Kena tante padu di chik sungkye mege chue tanki di kunso tempa te tendra re di dondan tempa te tompani re kena te sungpin pe
la mede de radio la na dondan tempa kunso tempa shichi tendo dondan tempa kunso tempa namshe ni ga sha ji sa tenju bi yue ba se da yang xin yue ba yi di ka ga chi ji sa tenju go la so chue kan ne chin de yue ba le那拉西有嘛的是，就是拉西有把当有个你卡卡去，拉西没把当没把你的卡卡去怎么样？却感觉现在拉西如果有嘛的，你呢却感觉现在没办法的是，对吧？那你们其他嘛多的话，甚至话这个你让有把呢，或者个拉西有把的，有把你几个上当，拉西有把的，有把你几个上当。就是让心有吧，有个经过上当一点，原呢让心主让有的什么的，就是你那啥呢？他没说呢，他早给你没过，让心主把的没呢，真的早给你没过的，真的其他差不多，你什么的？天有别个有吧的，让心有吧，你的开发的切切，却肯定是那让心有吧，让心主把的有吧的，却肯定是那有吧的是，那却个让心主把的没吧因呢？没为一股嘛的是，没为一股嘛的是，就是越为一呢，让心主把的越股嘛的是，就是天就别让心主把当，只当越把当，让心越把你了开发起过来，只当没把当，让心没把你给了开发起过来，那么你天就个满起现在的这个你开发起出过嘛，这经过上当的，越把当，让心越把你经过上当的，因为越呢让心越过来。没，那些没呢，没法查，早已没法查，不是什么的。
So what we've just presented then is that for the Prasangika, they can posit that on a single basis, both truths, both the conventional truth and the ultimate truth, on a single basis. Only the Prasangika are able to do this. Only the Prasangika are able to show how dependence arising and emptiness are in harmony. Only the Prasangika can do this. And the reason is, for the Prasangika, something existing and something being inherently existent are contrary. So inherent existence and existence are contrary according to Prasangika. As are emptiness of inherent existence and non-existence. These, they say, are not the same according to Prasangika. So I'll say that again. The reason why Prasangika can assert the union of or the harmony of dependence arising and emptiness is because they see existence and inherent existence as contrary, and non-existent and emptiness of inherent existence as different. It's not being the same thing. Non-Prasangikas, they are not able to establish, as we heard this morning, on a single basis, both emptiness of inherent existence and dependent arising. Or to express it differently, on a single basis, they composite both being dependent and independent. They cannot do that. So they are unable to posit the two truths onto a single basis. And this is because they have a different understanding from the Prasangikas. They see inherent existence and existence as the same thing. If something exists, it's inherently existent. They see these as the same. Prasangikas see those as contrary. But the non-Prasangikas say inherent existence and existence are the same. And this is actually, according to the Prasangika, the extreme of existence. Moreover, the non-Prasangikas, they see the emptiness of inherent existence and non-existence as being the same. They say if something is empty of inherent existence, it doesn't exist. So this is another mistaken view of the non-prasangikas. And this then is the extreme of non-existence, or the extreme of nihilism. So because of their misunderstandings, the non-prasangikas are unable to posit dependent arising and emptiness onto a single basis. They cannot see how emptiness and dependent arising exist together in harmony. So this is a key difference between the understanding of prasangika and the non-prasangikas. Now we come to the 28th verse. We come to the 28th verse. Although some may, just the fourth line, I've changed a little bit. Although some may dispute what you taught, they cannot find faults that accord with reality. It is also through this very teaching that they will come to a correct understanding. So I'll read it again. Although some may dispute what you taught, they cannot find faults that accord with reality. It is also through this very teaching that they will come to a correct understanding. Looking at the first line then, although some may dispute what you taught. So we're just looking at the end here, what you taught. So this then is referring to the presentation on the two truths that Buddha Shakyamuni taught. That this is faultless, that the presentation on the two truths is in accordance with reality. So the two truths then, they refer to the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. So conventionally, phenomena exist as dependent arisings. They are dependent on parts, they're dependent on causes, they're dependent on imputation. So phenomena, they exist as conventional truths, or they exist conventionally. Then, when one investigates these conventional truths, investigates these phenomena, and investigates their entity to see how they exist in reality, one sees they are empty of inherent existence. And this emptiness, this empty of inherent existence, this is the ultimate truth. So as we've just been hearing, on a single basis, we have both a single basis is both empty of inherent existence and a conventional truth. It's a dependent arising. Being a dependent arising, it's conventionally existent, but being empty of inherent existence is its ultimate truth. So this is what the Buddha has taught, and this is in accordance with reality.
데 돈한테 남자시고 진짜 상위 점내지 상위 고방 통비 출로 탑 양내 지에 될야는 군주비 남자시 군주도 주고 얘네 연락봐 동반 이些동반 이도 로공부에 송고로 진짜 돈 상위 점내지 돈하나야 군주비 남자는 돈이 남자 이게 말해서 송고를 키 지에 대마서
In the Buddha's teachings, he presented in great detail the two truths. In terms of how to achieve enlightenment, he said that the two truths need to be accomplished. So the conventional truth then is referring to the wide variety, the vast array of practices that beings need to engage in so as to accumulate the merit to become a Buddha. Minds such as love and compassion need to be cultivated, giving rise to actual bodhicitta. And thereafter, the perfections of generosity, of ethics, of patience, of joyous perseverance, and concentration. These all need to be engaged in. And these are the practices that are on the side of the conventional truth. Then, but this alone is not enough, it's insufficient to attain enlightenment. But one also needs to cultivate wisdom. One needs to engage in accumulation of wisdom. And this then was where one needs to meditate on emptiness, meditate on reality, come to see that phenomena do not exist inherently. And this is the only way to overcome the afflicted minds together with their seeds. So this then it refers to the ultimate truth. And both of these truths, the conventional and the ultimate, were taught in great detail in the sutras by the Buddha.
Lama never somebody else, it's in or again, shading to love never somebody else. Sanji German D. and then Bendigo, Kundu, Namsha, Bendigo, Namsha, Sumba Tella, and then Chirova, now Suine, Sanji German Delia, Karomi, the Notre Dio, the Guin, Chicken, Devite, Susangi, Gunji, 2 miles. Go again, children do love me. Children, 2 days on a ticket or do some so much. Then again, Gun, lightning Mares, Gun, 2 miles.
So I'll read the first 2 lines. Although some may dispute what you taught, they cannot find faults that accord with reality. So whomever struggles to understand this presentation that the Buddha taught, this presentation of the two truths, whether they are Buddhists but of the lower philosophical schools, the non-Prasangikas, or they are non-Buddhists, whomever, if they are struggling to understand this presentation on the two truths, and they're trying to point out faults and to criticize and show some a lack of validity in the presentation of the two truths, they are unable to come up with any reasons that accord with reality. No matter how hard they try and examine and dispute what the Buddha has taught, dispute the Buddha's presentation of the two truths, they cannot come up with any reasons that are in accordance with reality that points out actual faults in the presentation that the Buddha gave.
Tinjin Deo Chua Sora, Jisa Marashi Modu Yumten, Tinjin Deo Chua, Jisa Sanyo German, Tinjin Deo Chua, these are Rashi Modu, like Sanyo German, the Rashi Modu Sonia, Yumten, Tinjin Deo Chua, the some down, then they get some down, and the Sanyo German, the Rashi Modu Sonia, or Resha, something somebody they call the she or the day to the what some that they don't want my sheet in it. Resha Assembly, Ichiro, Leo, Kumsi, Carson, and Taboro Giro, Sosugi, Law, Tikto, and Jimmy Passion, Chamburacine, and Dam de and Man, 这个包括马上呢马恰路啊，我这时候呢变成这样这个老乡老新年，就说是个好新个什么什么，今年啊就原来要过去开发几个例子，说是2万个包括家长工作，俺家家长工作，这两些那些商业军队拉新把这个送出来，我拉新把这个嘛是吧？拉新主播来哇，这个但拉新主播开2年左右呀，什么全部交了的，这商业军队的拉新把这个来送人背上的，拉新把这个送下。你看这个什么？那你云在100多块子，就全部也在地面的在这上面有路啊，当铺。这上面那上一种的，然后毛这个云在干送下来，点老的电线这样出来的，然后那电的新过来，这是电线这样出来的，上送一个啥？电线这样出来，上一然后毛这个送一云在的，还是电线这样出来。这电线这样出来的都上大哦，那上一种的这个然后毛送的，我那热下，然后这些些的然后主要的上一个地面的什么的，哪下什么的，你还有燃吹的那些的。
And the rest of this verse, it is also through this very teaching that they come to a correct understanding. So what is being said here is that these either non-Buddhists or the non-Prasangika view holders, if they try and criticize and point out faults in this presentation on the harmony of the two truths, they are unable to point out any valid faults. They are unable to logically show a fault in this reason. And this is because the Buddha has taught that no phenomenon exists inherently. And the reason for establishing this is because phenomena are dependent arisings. So when this statement is studied well and understood clearly, and it's come to be understood through receiving teachings and reflecting on them in some detail, the validity of this teaching of the Buddha becomes clear. The logic of the statement becomes clear. And this then leads to a correct understanding arising for people who previously had misunderstanding or doubt or didn't accept this presentation of the harmony of dependence arising and emptiness. And so this then serves a literal understanding of what has been translated as a correct understanding would be renders them silent. So here the meaning behind this expression is that you can imagine someone who thinks they know a particular subject well, they consider themselves knowledgeable and learned and skilled in a particular field, but then when they meet someone who is truly an expert, they'll be listening but looking for faults in what is being said. They'll be listening with an ear seeking out an ear that is with a mind that is criticizing, seeking faults in what has been said. But eventually, through using their own analysis, they will come to see their own faults. They will come to see that their own views are mistaken, and that all their criticisms are invalid and illogical. And that will serve to destroy their puffed up pride and their overconfidence, and will render them silent. So this is the hidden meaning in this fourth line.
네 다음에 또 돈이 되시라고 그래서 제산이 돈이 되시라고 근데 제산이 돈이 또 되시라고 말로 돈이 또 말로 되니 남자 대한 상담 또 그래서 디에서 상에 주는 일이 저게 상계고가 토비하라 심지어탄 제고를 저지 탈도 상계고가 토비하라 디 탑을 냠는지에 되라 군주비 남기 남샤다 안 되는 배람이 남샤세야 돼 냠는지 바 어두시 인소샤라에서 그거다.
The advice that Rinpoche is giving to us with this verse is that having given rise to a wish to attain liberation or enlightenment, this can only be achieved through relying on the two truths, through cultivating the understanding of the two truths as presented in the sutras, or to express that differently, to cultivate the understanding of the emptiness of inherent existence that is in harmony with the presentation on dependent arising. So both of these need to be done. Both of the two truths need to be cultivated, or to express it differently, the emptiness of inherent existence as well as that of dependent arising. So what is being meant here, the meaning behind all of this, is that the practices that are conventional practices as well as the ultimate practices both need to be engaged in. So we heard last night about how one needs to accumulate both merit and accumulate wisdom. One cannot attain enlightenment with only the one. The analogy you'll remember from last night is a bird requires both wings in order to fly. So here in the relation to the two truths, then the conventional practices such as refuge, love, compassion, generosity, ethics, patience and so forth, these are all associated with the conventional side. And these have to be engaged in to accumulate merit. But these alone do not lead to enlightenment. Because these alone do not comprise at all the mind that is contrary to the ignorance of self-grasping that keeps us bound within cyclic existence. The only mind that is contrary to that ignorance is the mind of wisdom, and in particular, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And that is associated with the practices of the ultimate side. So therefore, it's imperative to accumulate wisdom through meditating and developing the wisdom realizing emptiness. And the technique, the most skillful technique to come to develop the wisdom realizing emptiness and to realize emptiness itself, or to realize the emptiness of inherent existence, is through relying on the presentation of dependent arising. So in this way also, we see how the conventional and the ultimate are in harmony. Both need to be practiced.
Kaba, Chinang Kaba, Suyne, Gun, Jikpa, Chubata, Gun, Gun, Sutu Merva, the Gun, Sangelia, Gun, Ego, Lama Yemare, Lama Yemaza, Sanje Jimden, Deba, no Tribune, Cezanne, Denezana, Sanje Jimden, in the Sword. I Jiyabashu, Sunja, Sempigeta, Sanje Jimden, Deba, Deba Chair, Deba teaching, Deba Chair, and Sanje Jimden, Sunja, but Yada was the knowledge that I tame to go, the battle in the head, the Neza, San Jim, the Cabo soon, the sweet Jeba Jin, Jeba in there, Gunju Mania Bainza, and then San Jim, the Sonati, Judo, what that. No tuition will like Cabo to Jeba China, Jeba Gunju to Zulu, what. She's at the Cabo, Suya, Gunju to Maris, Cheddar to the Gun Jebana. 这个情绪前的具体的嘛，还是奠定咱们上当有的艺术的多话的系统也说了。现在今年上商业经验的那个咱们那些电板的了，no 啊、true 啊，大概有嘛。这上的商业经验的说法，哪些今年的这边呢，马上说的啊，很多个公牛可以他把统计给不过，土的生别的商业经验的呀，安尼一些的对吧？安尼一些的对吧？这的呢。 都现在呢，商业经验的送些这个电梯给咱们现在了，2年2度嘛，都接不接上当，那这个你呢，这个都
And furthermore, this verse, by referring to those who haven't come to a correct understanding of the two truths, whether Buddhists or non-Buddhists, the reason for making reference to this is we, as those who aspire to be actual holders of the Prasangika view, we haven't, whilst we have this aspiration and we have some belief and acceptance of this view, we haven't given rise to a valid cognition realizing the Prasangika view. So we can then be likened to those who do not even accept that view, in that such people also don't have a valid cognizer relating to the view of the Prasangika. Rather, the position they find themselves in is they're trying to point out faults and to criticize this presentation of the Buddha. And in the process of doing so, if they're using their intelligence and their mind is impartial, they will come to find faults, but the faults they find will be in their own views. And it's through that process of seeing the faults in their own understanding that they will overcome their own wrong views and develop faith and trust in the Buddha and the Buddha Dharma itself. And they will then be able to progress and come to an actual understanding, a valid cognizer in relation to the view of the Prasangika. So we here are being encouraged to also examine the teachings, to receive many teachings and reflect on them, coming to know them well, coming to gain experience of them. And by doing so, we will be practicing in exactly the same way as Buddha Shakyamuni did in previous existences, in the existences where he wasn't anywhere near the enlightened state of a Buddha. And we will then come to gain confidence in the presentation of the harmony of the two truths. We'll come thereby to gain presentation in the teacher of the harmony of the two truths. And through this growing faith and trust and conviction, we will want to apply ever more vigor to our practice and develop these realizations within us ever more. Oh, so yeah, press the wrong button and now something unexpected has happened. I don't know. I've lost my page. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Suddenly it was all blank before me. So now we come to the 29th verse. And the 29th verse presents in more detail why through coming to understand the faults of their view, they will overcome the non-Prasangikas or the non-Buddhists will overcome their pride and their misunderstanding. So the next verse then presents the reasons behind this in more detail. The 29th verse. Why is this so? Because by teaching this, one reduces the possibility of exaggerating or denying manifest or hidden phenomena. Why is this so? This then refers to non-prasangikas or non-Buddhists who are investigating and they cannot come to find any fault in this teaching on dependence arising, this teaching on the harmony of dependence arising and emptiness. So they've tried to analyze and point out logical faults, but have not been able to come out with any reasons that accord with reality, or any valid reasons as to any error in the Buddha's presentation. So in the first line, we've seen that it's because of the quality of this teaching, the unmistaken nature of this teaching, when they try and examine and use their intelligence, they can't find any faults. Now we come to the more detailed presentation as to why. So for us it's now the fourth line, manifest or hidden phenomena. So phenomena, or objects rather, objects can be divided, or phenomena can be divided into three. Those, the text explicitly mentions two. So there's the manifest, there's the hidden, and then the very hidden. So phenomena or objects can be divided into manifest, hidden, and very hidden.
Geshe So our fourth line, manifest or hidden phenomena. So the Tibetan that's used as literally seen and not seen, explicitly. So that's the literal. So when phenomena are divided into three, there's the first, which is manifest or seen, and then there's the not seen explicitly, which is where the second two divisions are, hidden and very hidden. Manifest phenomena refer to those that we those that we perceive in a manifest manner with our sense powers, such as the objects we see, the sounds we hear, the tastes we experience, the tactile objects we experience, and the smells we experience. So all of these phenomena are manifest phenomena because we experience them. These are all manifest phenomena and manifest phenomena are experienced through our sense powers. And the reason they are manifest phenomena is because one can come to know them without reason or analysis, without having to investigate. So the reason these are manifest is because one experiences them one comes to know them without needing to use analysis or reason. One experiences them through our sense powers. Then hidden phenomena. Dan Shintu Kokyu, dan Kokyu Ni. Kokyu Chikpo. 소소 기본이 아주 당고 하고 김체 야다 제일 뛰어먹어야지 그것도 하고 두자 김체를 뛰어먹어야지 하고 두야게 취리게라 아주 소소 기본이 당고 하고 아니 김체는 야다를 뛰어먹어야지 그것도 하고 두야게 취되라 통화 온줄을
So the key point that is being made with manifest objects, or again the literal scene with manifest objects, is that one doesn't need to use analysis or reason to come to know them. So we're just talking about ordinary beings, those who are not Aryas, those who have not directly realized emptiness or become Buddhas. So ordinary beings, for us, manifest objects are those that we do not need to use reason to come to know. Then when we look at hidden phenomena, so these, again, we're talking here from the perspective of ordinary beings, non-Aryas. So hidden phenomenon, we can come to know as ordinary beings, but we have to rely on reasoning. It's through using reasoning or analysis, investigation, that we can come to know phenomena that are hidden. So, for example, through, if we want to come to understand dependence arising, we need to use reasoning such as independence on causes come results. So in this way, we can come to understand hidden phenomena. It's through utilizing reasoning. So to give further illustrations of hidden phenomena, so these are phenomena that without relying on a reason, we cannot come to understand. So for example, emptiness. This we cannot understand without relying on reasoning, or selflessness, or impermanence, or reincarnation, past and future lives. These cannot be known without relying on reasoning. So these are hidden phenomena. Then the third division, the extremely hidden or the very hidden, so these, us ordinary beings, cannot even come to understand through employing reasoning. So the hidden, we come to understand through reasoning. The extremely hidden, even through using our analysis and investigation, we still cannot come to understand them. So this again, we're only talking about us ordinary beings, non-Aryas. The way that one comes to understand these extremely hidden phenomena is only through faith in the Buddha and the Buddha's teachings. So the phenomena that are extremely hidden, we cannot come to understand through our reasoning. The only way is through accepting, based on our faith, what the Buddha has taught.
all those children are one you said, the Tom you said, Jose Koku, Shinto Koku said, it's done, Cabra in this day. That Nanzuki may said, many years of Dirua, Mungurua, many how I like him something or Sudan, just something or number of how just that it is a made Munguri. Chidan in a Gabriela, Koku Chago, Chawa Ingure, Penanzumini, Kambanala. Medway, we do sometimes in my town, and who go over. Chisan to me, and I mean, doesn't possible. Chisan, answer the port to the hammer, go to Cuba, hammer, or Saturday. Chisan, the native and the mayor, how there, and Jimson sometime mayor, how to have Chisan, Chidan, Yakoron, one usually, may have a Jimson sometime or Martina, Cup Cashel, Dudam, Cup Cashel, and mayor, Hagoya, Mikashelia. Jumsa Santa Hago, Chago. She's not going to simply make you some Java Queen and Mayor doing the Java sometime to sort of was I walk your shadow. She's not been mayor by the Jumsa sometime Hago. She's not do sometimes many a dual is doing with it. Then do I be just, yeah, made down the dually, melted the keyboard, she's a mere jabores. She's not do I jabo to your exam, you tell the mediores and 그냥 도와요 통하지 도와요 통이 금전이지 아니 매요 요래서 하고 투여셔로 봐 어디 안 저기 소설에 안보 매요 하면 어디 하는 소리 꼭 들차려 세상 다 도와요 금전이지 매요 하고 두고 세상이 매요 하고 어디 금전을 하고 두고 세상 까브리라 나도 가사 카시 까브리라 지당 문제 까브리도 꼭 들차려
Die Zamasapo Kosong, hier den Nummer, kena suntu kokyo ki kola sung dut, kena petsin sung pimpe, kasi nge lap me, kena koma, then it is so. So this then is the general difference between the three types of phenomena, or three types of objects. So, and just to say a little bit more, generally we'd say, if we think of an example of fire, so fire, which of the three would it be? Well, fire is manifest. We see fire, we know fire without needing to rely on reasoning. We experience it through our sense powers, and there's no need for reasoning to know that that is fire. So, in general, we would say fire is a manifest object, but it can also at times be, or it can rather at other times, be a hidden object. For example, if we're in our rooms and we think, I wonder if there's a fire in here. So now we have a doubt. How does one eliminate a doubt? Through reasoning. So we think, I wonder if there's a fire in my room. So we look for smoke. And if we see smoke, we know we have a problem. There is fire. So in that case, when we came to know that there was fire through the reasoning of, I've seen smoke, then that object, fire, is in this instance a hidden object, because it came to be known through reasoning. Okay, dann geht. Ja, den Kunde. Den ihr Patsama die ihr Sum. 하고 두고 스텐진 제일 이제 상단에 최근에 라인 주고 동배 동이 또 두고 봐서 최근에 라인 주고 동배 동이도 또
최담제 라신 주바레 에센비 조도디 대시 라신 주바레 주요레 에센비 조도디 가르고 해서 세상 이 특징이 이베데서 그냥 조도 바다 꿀집기 고급린도 세시로 이제 담아니게
그렇죠.
조도 바다 꿀제가 고급린도 세시로 그래서 텐신 제와 중앙 삼다이도 부 김제 삼당이 당시들 라신 마주바도 돈이 돈도 라신 주바레 에센비 집바디 조도디 가르고 해서 그래서 디네기 텐진 제와 손도는 라신 마주다야 최담제 파르 샤선 탄이도 여가하고 여가하고 도교도 어떤 최담제 라신이면은 최담제 민두 산도 꿀띠띠 오르는 그래서 저도가 텐진 제와 중에 상당히도 최담제 라신 주거에 생기게 저도대한 가르게 용바가는데 최담제 라신이 마주나 라신이면은 최담제 내가 차게 됐으면 꿀띠 대내가 차게 용바 그래서 디네의 텐진 제와 중에 상당히 또 제반은 유디 동반이 또도 아니 저도가 꿀팁 체상 다 같은 거です.
So Buddha Shakyamuni has taught that all phenomena are dependence arisings and not inherently existent. All phenomena. So that means manifest objects, hidden objects, extremely hidden objects. All phenomena lack inherent existence and are dependent arising. So that's what we've been looking at here for us in the fourth line. Then looking at what for us is in the third line, exaggerating or denying. So this too then, through reflecting on the presentation of the harmony of the two truths, the harmony of dependence arising and emptiness that Buddha Shakyamuni has taught, one will not exaggerate or deny. So what that means here is that through reflecting that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence because they are dependent arisings, one will not make the error of thinking that phenomena do not exist at all. So one will not deny the existence of phenomena. So that's the meaning of deny, or we can talk about deprecation, and some other synonyms. So to deny the phenomenon would be to say that something that exists does not exist. This would be denial. But through understanding that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, but they are dependent arisings, we don't make the mistake of thinking phenomena don't exist at all, because we see their dependent arisings. And likewise, through reflecting that all phenomena are dependent arisings, and therefore they are not inherently existent, we don't make the mistake of exaggerating phenomena, which means to believe in the extreme of existence, that phenomena inherently exist, or exist by way of their own nature. So through reflecting on dependence arising and emptiness, and then conversely, emptiness and dependence arising, these mistakes of exaggeration, or the extreme of existence, and the mistake of denial, or the extreme of non-existence, is avoided. So just to say a little bit of this again for clarity. So through meditating on that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, one doesn't then make the mistake of denial or fall into the extreme of non-existence, because it's empty of inherent existence, but it's a dependence arising. Likewise, meditating that on a phenomenon being a dependence arising, then one doesn't make the mistake of exaggeration and fall into the extreme of existence, thinking it's a dependence arising, therefore it exists by way of its own nature. One continues the meditation, it's a dependence arising, but it is empty of inherent existence. So therefore one doesn't fall into the extreme of exaggeration.
Bendigo sometimes. That's something on the Tibetan, she to go to the Tibetan, Jimmy, Jebodi, du sit in Chila, and the thing on the Tibetan, and DGB Jebodi, du sit in Chila, Jebodi, Mimi said, not to get himself some time how to have money. Tibetan, Jebodi, Yungre said, Yungua, because a good Sawan, the Jebodi, I am a toucher, which is not good start service, the Yungre setting. She in a duty, till the Jew, you should finish the Jungre, D and Duda, and Jew in the Jungre setting on to get Shin or Chaka. There's some you honor the Anzuki to go a chapel. Then Anzuki, Chike, in the giant jump up, in the church. Corolla, Jack told the bed, Marachi, the other road down there. So you, Yama, you can stop it, Scott Savi, you can stop it in the Gore, Shady, Scott Savi, that in a young way. Chidan, the nigger, you young at the chair, says to the visitors there now. The nigger said, chair where you get this hour, the nigger can see the Sava, the nigger, you can see it with water, can Sava, the teacher with water, Sanji Lumana, killing Mado, and Nanjuki, Jevachine, Galahora Chako, Denisa, the Sushi,
Then he goes something on the Jimpeki Kola Kati Chikia, then he also Jimpa Tangi Drepo de, the Kokyu de, because a Jimpa Tanga, then he gave us Sakamina Karina, you need the Drepo Karina, the Selpo. Di shinju kokyu je santi ni de. Okay, then it goes. Then it goes. Then it goes on. Then he ngondugyo keden ngato dak ma. Den ngondugyo dan karisang kuba. Keren tanto sungi ko tsuktu.
Da said, Master Munjurwa. She's another, you said, Munjurwa. She said, Maha said something other how was it detailed on to be Jevachi, Tinjin Jevachu, something Narashima to Dova. If Rashima to don't go to this.
Then it goes. Then it's up.
Rashima to there was something Rashima to go to this. And this is sometimes told the Nigi, Jumzen. Go sometimes didn't jail, and she go said, you didn't chill it in a table, didn't chill, and you didn't chill sour, the junior said, and then she go to this one, Sanji Lunkana to
Then let's look again at the three types of phenomena and give illustrations. So last night we heard about the meditation on selflessness. So the self, the I, the self, then this is a manifest phenomenon. We directly perceive self. Now, the self is a manifest phenomenon. But when we investigate this, and we're trying to understand how this exists, here clearly we're using reasoning. So this is a hidden phenomenon. And it's something that can be realized, so it remains just a hidden phenomenon. It is something that we can realize, so it's a hidden phenomenon. An illustration, though, of an extremely hidden phenomenon is if one practices generosity. So then if we ask ourselves a question, from this particular act of generosity, I understand I accumulate a virtuous cause that will ripen into a happy result. But what is the particular result that will come from this particular act of generosity? This is something that we cannot come to know. No matter how much reasoning we try and apply, this is not something that we can come to know. It is extremely hidden to us. The only way we can come to know this is through relying on what the Buddha has taught. And in speaking of what the Buddha has taught, the illustration that is given to show this is that of the patterns on a peacock's feathers. So the question was asked, these beautiful eyes on this pattern of an eye on the feather of a peacock, this particular pattern, from what cause did this come? So the Buddha can know this. And we can come to know this through relying on the Buddhist teachings. We can find an answer in the scriptures, but we cannot come to know this based on our reasoning. So that is therefore such a specific result from a particular cause. This is an extremely hidden phenomenon for us.
Raji Juba Jodo di Parka, in the Kudu di Parka, which is that in each other, you might. The more was a Jodo Passe, Kudikaba said, the watch the sailor, and the Resha simply each, Dine and each navigate, each near Sanjum and the Soet only Deparesha, some each that Devakamato, that the line money or the Vincent did his own.
The Tamakina Jorokdan could have day and Kilson.
天津结果从上当就上当有的，哪些嘛做多，东西多了，那哪些主要的是比做多的，好多而且，其实做多些，那个哪些嘛主要多有的，哪些嘛主要呢，却他们就他一有把它我图了，全一有把我图有的，哪些嘛主要美国的是古的点没有多了，其实古的单做到一个好，今天搞了这个。 Dini sosuki hako dini sangi chumne di koni rani tenchen jawa chunga sunga de rashi mbato so di koni demba resha sangi chun kundu demba sa de rashi mbato se dana demba so di koni rani demba resha sa bigi de sangi chumne de yishe dang deva ane demba chugo dimi chugo chisa yishi ni chugo chisa dini enza ane la yin ma la meni bi kumse karasa dende samta na dende ya sangi chumne di ki sunga de ya yishe dang ane 대박이 오래 세상 뭐 나게 상해 좀 되는 리듬도 생기게 한 저거 저게 다 마케팅 말에 지나 약을 kumule sete kumsete amadela tenji namja hawo yodu powaji ma na ye ja ya mo kumule da这个空荡来的是点那个tenji namja sam ta yu点那个多yu做多啊你估计车上啊干你对上有这么说呀我送下什么一切的你点吧你好好的点吧几个月了你知道 근데 상위점들이 제수 자야기 뇌가 제장 창고로 지대 된사 야가 kum세네 kum이 김전들이 됐습니다.
So what we've been hearing here then is that the meditation we've heard many times on dependence arising, this we would start to apply to a manifest phenomenon such as the self or another phenomenon. And then when we start to investigate then this object, it becomes a hidden phenomenon. Because to understand it, to know it, to come to know it, we need to rely on reasons. And then we investigate and we investigate the object, such as the self, and we look for, come to see how it appears, does it exist in this way, and we do the analysis as we've heard before. And in this way, we start to see that the object does not exist in the way that it appears. It appears as being inherently existent, but it is empty of inherent existence. So here we come to an understanding of emptiness in relation to the hidden object of, for example, the self. But here we then don't make the mistake of deprecation or denial, where one repudiates something that, an existent quality of something. We don't say, the self is not inherently existent, so therefore it doesn't exist at all, and fall into the extreme of nihilism or the extreme of non-existence. Rather, we take the meditation to the next step, and we remind ourselves that the object does not exist in the way that it appears at all. It is empty of inherent existence, but it is a dependence arising. It arises in dependence on perhaps causes and conditions, perhaps parts, but otherwise imputation, depending on what the object is. And we see, it does exist, but merely as an imputation by mind. And this then prevents us from falling into the extreme of exaggeration, where we think, it exists by way of its being a dependent arising, it must exist by its own nature. So we can't fall into this extreme of existence, we can't make this fault of exaggeration, because we've already seen that the same object is empty of inherent existence. So here, by meditating with both our understanding of dependent arising and emptiness, we come to see how the two are in harmony together, the harmony of the two truths, the harmony of dependent arising and emptiness of inherent existence. This then prevents us from making the mistakes of exaggeration, or falling into the extreme of existence, or denial, falling into the extreme of non-existence. With such an understanding then of reality, tremendous faith based on the power of this reasoning towards the Buddha, the teacher of this presentation of the harmony of dependence arising and emptiness, arises within us. Powerful, unshakable faith. And such an arisal of faith and trust would completely render one silent if previously one had criticized these views. If one had said, the Buddha was mistaken, the Buddha was an extremist, my views are more correct. So this then is relating to the previous verse. Here, those whose pride and their wrong understanding had led them to make mistaken criticisms. They will now have come to a correct understanding, seeing the fault in their previous view and the validity, the logical validity of the presentation on the harmony of the two truths.
Demanda Bendigo to chair, but Delatine also Lobsang Dorje, the Chago, the day that Bendigo some down, and nigger some down, Chauvelin, do Chilena, consciously, he said that there were chicks, Jara, those temperature, in it, temperature, in it, chain, and then Taba, Tobala, that the Nashing out in Cabaret. 세대야 타바 탐지기고 토보도나 제가 치마야 저기 타바 탐지기고 와라 냠내제 제고로 이내 제고가 된 개발제 그뒤에 산제고 마도게 봐도 된 개발제 토베게도 토보도 대대야 개발 토바라 대대제 유가를 때에 지기게 이게 된 개발제 유가를 때 물에라나 유에가도 지금 써야다 아니 지바 지베냐면서 쇠베냐면 안 on desert in the journey, on those in it, and you can call it in it. Me, Gavachama, Adami, Komatoya, Donaliana, you might use your pen, Gonani, the Tibile, never said Southern Jimes in the Trum Soya. So we in subject to seminar to some day. And then you might use your Gone, and then how to be logical, they share their payment to Donalia. Then said, Jimmy, and they get some tired, Jimmy, and said, all those children, and then died. And then, take as she changed, you know that, then you got in there to Suyanji, Pakon Mama, same person, much of due to what chickens in the Servo Community. In the Kiwi Chow, Bear, Yapore, subject, Yana, and the chickens in the General Samantaya. And then, and chicken, Yaji. 사람 되는 게 아니 야와야 볼래 두번 쉬었어요. 몰람자야. 언두 삼다데 기부 중요한 거 도네 삼다다 차고 기부 중요한 두모야. 다 되는 게 이거들아. 다 코와 들려야 뭐 세상 코와서 동아지가 싸워도 가르치는 비가르치는 이거를 다 내다 녀마 대양은 다시 말이 버데 대한테 빵구도 코와들 타고도 코와를 타고라 다시 말이 빵구도 이 빵구에 빵바토는 타바세 투부도 시사 다 타바도 바토는 타는 삼제 코와라야 유엔다 예전에 내가 주니야 타바토도 습에 상다리 이발을 생각하고 난 되게 숨바들라 난 게디네 랑사의 직시에서 심지어 배다 타이어 제사시 심지어 제가 안에 진치보레스 양진진 저와 저 삼다지 제사 말 심지어 먹고 때는 너무 먹고 때는 끼워 먹고 때제도 파마다 꾸지용화 자자 제사 소소리야 판도지면 진치보레스 해야 파마 제용화다 진치보이바 대진 저의 대진이 도와서 삼다지 진치보 삼다 얘네 진치보 삼다지 소소리야 되는 게 진심보다 파편을 두고 생기게 나중에 진수하게 생각다. 얘는 인자가 심지어 제 대화의 대부도 동화다 자부도 심지어 이제 대화의 대부 쇼서 심지어 동화다 자와 쇼서 자민이 상다에 들어와. 얘는 인자가 동화다 자야다 동화야 유가를 되는 이유가 영모 받을 이유. 대화에 가서 용서는 대위 규리 가서는 86년에 지어야죠. 얘는 인자 네 난 심지어 탐제를 파주르기 냠는 지혜야 허버지 냠는 제주기 심지어 탐지게 레라 유모 빠야지 곰 냠는 지는 방부도 진짜 때문에 남샤상 동반이 또지 디곰지 방부 대상이 심지어 탐제야 디마 시에지 아니 때되게 남샤시 동반이 남샤시지 고들려 냠는 제주데 심지어 탐지 동안에 잡아 지인 선배게 내 지인 선배 되게 상관없이 하선 남다 선당고 얘네 인자 딱 말하는 게 제발라 아니 양지 때네 가르를 띄워서 소소를 연된 띄 고로와 소소를 뉴바 고로와 뉴바를 띄인제 샤를 파도 지마도 소소를 뉴바 가야면은 연된 가야면은 파도 지도에 매반자 소소를 뉴바도 연된 치고 고로가 되나 다산 샤를 파도 지 연된 뉴바 치고도 상기 고로 토부도 지다 상기 고로 토바는 내가 때는 게 파도 개치고 지도자 되네 인자가 상기 고로 치면 또 섬제 자유생 상다리게 얘네 다 삼자 범죄 상주고 보토가 아니 이게 대한 사이고 받는 유대 있겠네 되는 용도로 제가 소식이虽然 소사야 돼 소사야 소식이 명목을 봐야 돼 유대 있겠네 되는 방법 얘네에서 이 집에 80도 냐면 지인세다 집어 주는 집에 냐면 지도 소라게 소사야 얘네 근데 시대에 지도 공유도 따와 보면도 당연히 명목을 봐야 돼 무슨也不过就在人生命80年的起生人类上大街这个路线1年呀说是路是落了上了那也上了家也些呀也但我就前面两个年了几个车上大毛头呢上了那里另外艺术的感觉新的呀关键的配比商业的配比这边呀根据了配比Lama的配比性的上班人家另外艺术有关下来太过看了车上面先看到主笔先生这个，看到主笔先生的，上面的下来些年了嘛，都是的。天天给上面的讲解，几百年的下来，但出去年的下来，另外艺术有关的，下来那个烧鸡鸡呢，上面给上面讲下来呢，讲解对是那个接修路啊，用路啊的，一年的我上面拿来的，那么对的，下来另外艺术有关的，下来那个烧鸡鸡呢，上面讲到起来的，年的下来，我身边讲到起来的下来。其实年上，年个嘛，年的呀，都是过来去接上大。年个上忙大的过来接上的，讲究什么上大的，年个当下的个，这个其实年公办的，跟需要说的，你可能要说什么大米的待遇过什么大的，其实没到什么电信车啊的，这个。就举了点全国积极的点我积极的基础，其实给我举的经济的举没人的了，举出来的大把的一定的大的或举民族经济的举出来的，其实旅行去的举的经对起的嘛举多了，人家上班呢电信车上班的，人家上班的，这个年的呀，人家是过来。都是大的这些情况，你这个上那个那个啊，都现在都现在上大的肉是不的那些，
So we're coming to the end of our time together for this weekend. So to summarize what we've been looking at over this weekend. So all of us want to experience only happiness and want to be freed of problems and difficulties. So this we've heard many times, and we need to apply the understanding of dependency that we've strengthened over this weekend to this. Wanting to experience happiness. So happiness is a phenomenon. It appears to us as being inherently existent, but it's not. It's empty of inherent existence. Rather, it is a dependence arising. Being a dependence arising, what is it dependent on? Causes and conditions. This then leads us to think, so what are the causes and conditions for our longed-for happiness? Through accumulation of virtue, we experience happiness. And the suffering we're so keen to avoid, this too is a dependence arising. This comes about in dependence on the causes of non-virtue, and they result in suffering. So the key point that I want to make in the summary that I'm going to go through now is to take this understanding of dependence arising and apply it throughout your meditation, at all the varying points of your meditation. See how this presentation of dependence arising pervades all the various meditations. When we see, for example, the truth that happiness comes about in dependence on causes, suffering comes about in dependence on the limit of causes too, this then gives us faith in the three jewels, because we'll see that this teaching makes logical sense, and thereby, following the example of the three jewels, we will be able to rid ourselves of problems and difficulties and experience lasting happiness. This understanding leads to a joy in our mind, a wish to engage in this reflection, in this meditation, and after the meditation session, to continue to try and keep these virtuous minds present and have them infuse our various activities of the day. So that's why the meditation should start with this point of refuge, so that we can generate joy and strength in our mind, wanting to act in accordance with the Dharma, both in this meditation session and beyond the meditation session. Because when we see that happiness comes about in dependence on the accumulation of causes, we will want to accumulate those causes. And when we see what the causes are that lead to suffering, we will want to avoid them. When the opportunity comes our way for our mind to go in a negative direction, we will want to avoid that. Even if we have a strong habituation, we'll want to avoid it. Rather, we'll want to accumulate the causes of ethics and generosity and so forth. So within this context of generating refuge, we also remind ourselves of the preciousness of this opportunity, because this too serves to add joy and strength to our mind. And seeing the preciousness of this opportunity, we'll want to apply ourselves to this meditation session, and to ensure that we keep recalling this meditation session throughout the day. Knowing that this precious opportunity we have is finite, we'll want to use it well now. Knowing that we need similar opportunities in our future lives, we'll want to accumulate the causes to ensure that we only have good rebirths in our future lives. And those causes are the accumulation of the mind of ethics, of generosity, patience, and joyous perseverance. So this is now talking a bit more broadly about this first step of the meditation, which you'll be hearing is in accordance with the being of small capacity. And also included here, we can make this commitment that today, with my physical acts, my verbal way of communicating, and the minds that motivate this, I will ensure I bring no harm to others. Moreover, I will seek out opportunities to bring benefit to others through my way of acting, through my way of speaking, and ensuring that my mind is positive, virtuous, and a mind that wants to bring benefit to others. And moreover, we generate the mind of joyous perseverance, the mind that wholeheartedly wants to engage in the accumulation of virtue, and wholeheartedly, with joy, wants to turn away from non-virtue. So this is the first step of the meditation, now presented in a slightly more expansive way. And these meditations here are in accordance with the practices of a being of smallest capacity. Second step in the meditation then is the practices that are in accordance with the being of intermediate capacity. So here one reflects then on how suffering pervades samsara. We can reflect on suffering in many ways, whether the manifest suffering of physical and mental pain, the suffering of change and the pervasive suffering, or the other divisions of suffering. Come to see how suffering pervades samsara, and to make us renounce all aspects of cyclic existence, seeing that there is no worthy happiness, no happiness worthy of striving for within samsara, because that happiness itself doesn't last. Then we take our understanding of dependency and use it here as well, seeing how suffering comes from causes, namely our afflicted minds, which have as their root cause the ignorance of self-grasping. And then just to talk very briefly here, because we covered it in more detail this morning, we then go on to reflect how if suffering comes from a cause, that cause can be eliminated, because that cause is not inherently existent, it is a dependent arising, which means it can be eliminated. Cessation can be achieved, cessation of suffering can be achieved. And this is achieved through the cultivating of a correct path, namely the contrary mind to ignorance, the wisdom, and in particular the wisdom realizing emptiness. So this then is, in brief, the meditation practices that are in accordance with a being of intermediate capacity. And then we come to the third step of the meditation. Here we engage in the meditation practices that are unique to the being of great capacity. And again, we looked at this morning, but just to remind ourselves of this. So here, we start by reflecting on the relationship that we have with others, seeing this relationship of dependency with others. Thereafter, we reflect on the kindness that we've received from others. Reflect that all our good qualities, whether our inner good qualities or our outer conditions, have come about in dependence on others. And here we reflect then not just on the relationship, this very wide net of relations we have with others in this and past lives, but also the kindness that they directly and indirectly show us, whether they explicitly are showing us kindness or inadvertently. It's due to others that all the excellent material conditions we have, as well as our inner qualities, have been developed. And in dependence on this understanding of the kindness of others comes the result of the wish to repay that kindness. And thus is the natural, spontaneous arisal when we've sincerely seen the kindness of others, or we've seen in a profound manner the kindness of others, spontaneously the wish to repay that kindness arises. So here too there's this relationship of dependency. How to repay the kindness? What is it that others want? So this is that leads to from this results leads to the reflections on love and compassion. All sentient beings want to experience only happiness. So the wish arises, may all sentient beings experience only happiness, the mind of love. And all sentient beings, ourselves included, all sentient beings want to be freed of suffering, problems and difficulties, no matter how slight. So there is the mind of compassion arising. May all beings be free of suffering. So here we see throughout this entire meditation thus far, from the starting point of generating refuge up to now, that these steps are dependencies. They arise in dependence on reasoning, on analysis, on others. And we should remind ourselves of this relationship of dependency through each and every step in our meditation, so as to strengthen our understanding of dependency. See how dependency pervades everything. And this is how we progress slowly to an understanding that all phenomena are dependent arisings. And we remind ourselves that each and every step of the meditation, how each phenomenon is a dependent arising. Then when we, in this Back to the meditation then, giving rise to bodhicitta, we've come to the fourth and fifth step of love and compassion. Here we're coming to the generation of the altruistic mind of universal responsibility, this mind of special intention. So this is the point where we take responsibility for the welfare of others, which means we take it on ourselves as our sole responsibility, as our responsibility alone, the happiness of others. Whether others remain in a state of suffering and samsara, or whether they achieve this lasting happiness of nirvana and enlightenment, this is our responsibility. And that is the mind of special intention, the altruistic mind of universal responsibility. And at this point, too, we reflect on dependence arising, because this mind arises in dependence on the strength of the love and compassion in the preceding steps. Having generated this mind of special intention, we then think to ourselves, how can I actually fulfill this responsibility? How can I turn this conviction into a reality? Because right now we do not have the ability to be able to skillfully guide each and every sentient being to enlightenment. And that is what is required to do. Because the mind of the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility is the mind that has committed to leading each being to a state freed of suffering and a state of lasting happiness. And this is a mind that has come to already have an understanding of dependence arising and the emptiness of inherent existence. So this practitioner knows that the only way to lead beings to a state of lasting happiness is to be able to skillfully guide each being in the generation of the understanding of dependence arising, in the generation of the understanding that all phenomena lack inherent existence, and in the generation of the mind of bodhicitta in each and every single being. And beings differ widely. We can think across the realms, or just across those that we know. To be able to help each being in accordance with their own personalities, we need to be the most skilled of guides. Moreover, not only do we need to be the most skilled of guides, but our knowledge and our experience needs to be perfected. And to have all these good qualities of knowledge and experience perfected, all our faults also need to be completely eliminated. So this means, so as to be able to fulfill this desire to be of true benefit to others, we have to strive for Buddhahood and become Buddhas for the sake of others. And this is the arisal of bodhicitta. These are the causes that lead to the result of bodhicitta arising. And when that has arisen with a commitment to strive for Buddhahood for the sake of others, then we naturally turn our mind to how to accumulate those causes that lead to the result of Buddhahood. And those causes are, as we heard last night, that there's two accumulations, accumulation of merit and wisdom. And the way the bodhisattva accumulates merit is through engaging in the practices of generosity, ethical conduct, patience, choice, perseverance, and concentration. And the way the bodhisattva engages in the accumulation of wisdom is with choice, perseverance, and concentration. They engage in perfection of wisdom. And there in our meditation, we engage in those meditations. So this is what we need to do repeatedly over a sustained period. Doing this meditation repeatedly over a sustained period means our mind becomes more and more habituated to this way of thinking. So all of you have come to, or many of you have come to many of these classes, which means you've heard this meditation many times, which means you're becoming more and more habituated to what is repeated every week. Which means you are, in this class, are meditating, becoming habituated to this practice. And then if you are taking this to your home and doing this meditation at home, this habituation is becoming ever stronger. And then slowly over time, it will start to pervade one's way of thinking. In meditation, this understanding of dependence arising will start to pervade each step of the meditation. Then, out of meditation, when we go about our daily activities, the way dependent arising has pervaded the various aspects of our meditation will also start to pervade our way of thinking and our way of engaging with others. So this is my hope, that this meditation that I present each week, and slowly is being presented in greater detail, is something that you'll engage in at home, and this way, the habituation of your way of thinking to this virtuous way of thinking will grow ever stronger and pervade the way that you engage with others too. Okay. So our time is up, so thank you very much, and we'll conclude here then. Thank you. Or we won't conclude here. If you have questions, then please feel free to ask, but if you need to go, then no need to wait for questions, you can go. So we'll start then here. Andy?
One question. Question is, the object of the inferential cognition, is that always a hidden phenomenon?
The object of an inferential cognition, is it always a hidden phenomenon? Inferential valid cognizer or an inferential mind, a reasoning mind?
The object of the mind, of that mind.
Of a valid cognizer or a mind that investigates?
The inferential.
Okay. Is the object of an inferential cognizer, an inferential mind, is it always a hidden object?
So you gave the example of the fire and the smoke.
Yes.
So that's an inferential cognition.
Yes.
So is that always the case? Is that
always the case? Yes. Okay. Deni kung jepak labsong, deni kung jepak ichema, yamela jepak rikpa lapayin, jepak shepa, deni kiapa kung selpo semla charmasong. Deni dondate naso takcho jedu, deni yul de tapa kogyu akri kogyu rebe, yul de tapa kogyu rebe. Ja, so taktu jepe kapla. The yode tapa kogyurebe. Yes, for us it is a hidden object because we are investigating it, we are analyzing it. So, yes, for us it is a hidden object. Yeah. So I think what Genla is implying is it's not necessarily that the object is a hidden object, but because we're investigating it, it is a hidden object. Yeah? Okay, good. Alan?
So just when Geshe mentioned this morning about emptiness being unproduced, we say that in the Heart of Wisdom every time that Shariputra, likewise all phenomena are emptiness without characteristics, unproduced, unceased. What does that sort of mean, I suppose? Yeah, where being unproduced in that context.
Okay, so I'm not going to ask in relation to the Heart Sutra because I don't have the Tibetan in front of me. So, but what does it mean in terms of unproduced? Yeah. So in the Heart Sutra, where it says emptiness is unproduced, right? Okay. What does this mean? All phenomena are unproduced. Okay. Dene kung serak nimpo ki kola kati shusong, yene puri toka ki duname. Dene serak nimpo namla tamche konso makiapare. Deni dering kendi dan dropo ki kola sumpien, ni ser nimpo lapie de danda karisum karin. So all phenomena are not inherently existently produced. I don't know if that sounds nice in English, but impermanent phenomena are produced, but not inherently. Production isn't inherent. Production isn't inherently existent. Literally what Genla said, phenomena are not inherently existently produced. Which sounds a bit clunky from the mouth, but that's what it means. Phenomena are not inherently existently produced, or production itself is not inherently existent. Okay?
뭐버티 기거 라시 유튜브에 개와래 고 라시 유튜브에 기거를 쓰고와 지난 텐주비 시럽이 보나서도 마케와세도 라시 유튜브에 개와 말레스
So this is to counter the wrong understanding or wrong view of the non-Prasangikas, the wrong understanding of the non-Prasangikas, who hold that the production is inherently existent, or phenomena are the production of phenomena is inherently existent. So here the aspect that is being said to be or not be inherently existent is production itself. Okay, good.
Is a valid cognizer someone who has seen emptiness directly?
Is a valid cognizer someone who has
seen emptiness directly?
Okay. Tema sena, don't have any tema karire. Tema tompini ngonsum toki ki gangsak re. Gdidu tema labna di ngare. Di kongidre.
tema labna sheba chiri azu gangsa thola ma azu gangsa di tongbai cheba di resha sa ha go ge sheba chi samno chi sam odi tema re.
Den gamla tema den tema sheba de gamla
di gamla ga tema la de no sun na cheba sa ma cheba chena di ngro to wa to bi ha ko di le cheba cha to wa re zan de ya ani chi mo sum bi ha wa de twen chi da ma cha wa tongbai sa wa na yi ko de ha wa di le mo sum cha ma so di pa kwa la pe
So a valid cognizer is a mind. So cognizer is a mind, and it's a mind then that is valid. So there are two types of these. One is direct and one is inferential. And so these are minds which are, what is this word now? Infallible, what was he say? Incontrovertible. Incontrovertible with regard to their object. Yeah? If the object is emptiness, the only being who has a direct valid cognizer of emptiness would be an Arya being, someone who's realized it directly. But valid cognizers, the mind of a valid cognizer realizes many objects, not only emptiness. And they are incontrovertible, or a synonym would be infallible. It's like that. So yeah, it's a mind that is either inferential or direct. Yeah? Okay.